Live from Latrobe Motorsports Studios, this is Ride Along with Howie, from the fast half-mile track at Latrobe Speedway, where it's grassroots racing at its finest. Here's Howie.
Does everybody know what time it is? It's time for another episode of Ride Along, sponsored by SNB Promotions, Latrobe Speedway, Joe's Body Shop, and Towing out of Fairbanks, Pennsylvania. Tonight's guest, in honor of Father's Day coming up, is a father and son team that competes at the Latrobe Speedway. I'm joined right now by John Monteparte, a.k.a. Tool, and our three-time track champion, Anthony Monteparte. Welcome to Ride Along, guys.
Hey, Howie, thanks for having us.
What's up, Howie?
Thanks for coming along. Tool, I know this is nothing new for you being in front of a camera. You have your Facebook show, Cooking with Tool, and it's a great showing how the...
You know me, I love to ham it up. I'll talk. That's what I said, yeah, right away when you said about this. I get to be, hi, everybody on Ride Along, Howie watching.
Hey, Tool, coming up this upcoming weekend is Father's Day, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the show for this week. Racing has basically made a bond with you and your son Anthony and your son Luke, and your Brett is also part of the family, and racing just seems to be the common theme for you guys. I know when the boys were younger, they were all into different sports, but as they got older, they all came to racing.
Yeah, of course, I was lucky enough. My dad got me started when I was little going to the races, and I just ran with it and said I was going to do it. And eventually, me and my dad, I started to race, and my dad helped me. And of course, I got to become good friends with Joe Kelly, and it just went on and on from there. And I had Anthony and Luke, and I got these two little boys, and hell, I started taking them around the garage, and they'd play with their little cars and actually drive you crazy, Howie, back in the Chester Reddit days, because I think you used to tell them, you already won tonight. But Anthony always just said he was going to do it, and just like he has in a lot of things, he seems to put his mind to it and excel. And here we are, and honestly, I couldn't be more prouder of all the boys, and I think it's like a gift that this has all happened because of what racing means to me, and we take it very seriously. I mean, we're in the garage tonight, and sometimes Anthony probably doesn't like that I take it seriously, but I don't. There's no other way I would have wanted my boys race. They played, like you said, they did their baseball and football, but we got the racing in there also, and I don't know, how can I complain about a young man like this?
And actually, two of them went to college on athletic scholarships.
A lot of people don't notice, and I guess I can talk about it a little bit right now, but Anthony was supposed to be in the MLB for me, okay, and but it didn't pan out. But he really excelled at baseball, because we have a little joke now, people that know us around Latrobe, and that it used to be like we paid the Latrobe Bulletin, because every time you turned around, the high school baseball, Legion baseball, and college baseball, it was always Anthony's picture in there. Now all of a sudden racing, and seems like Anthony gets a lot of ink with the race car too. But I honestly don't know the Latrobe Bulletin.
Hey, Tool, let's go back to your racing career. You raced back at the old Challenger Speedway. You picked up some wins. If my memory serves me correct, you teamed up one year to go to Latrobe for the point champion, try to get the point championship, driving with for Frank Novak, and that was an abbreviated season, but at that point you were leading and had multiple wins, and you were driving a car that kind of looks like the one Anthony's driving now, a 66 Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
Yes, that's right, Howie. Back in the early '90s and mid '90s, I did race a Challenger in Lernerville and went up to Evansburg and traveled around some. But and then I kind of went on hiatus, having babies, I guess you could say. And and then me and Joe got together, and one thing led to another there when Latrobe opened back up, and Frank Novak didn't have a driver, and he had a car, so we built a motor, and it was kind of like a half and half deal, and yeah, unfortunately, it was an abbreviated season, but yes, my car looked like Joe's, and of course, this year, being that now Anthony's his own sole team here, whatever you want to say, owner, he he wanted to kind of do a tribute to Joe too, or whatever. I hate to say tribute because Joe's still racing, so it can't be a tribute. So whatever you want to say, it's like a team car, a look-alike. I don't know.
It could be a tribute to you because that year you were number 66, blue and white Chevrolet, and this year Anthony number 66, blue and white Chevrolet, and well, you don't race anymore, Tool.
No, not unless. Don't I think Anthony should put me in a seat one night.
You know,
We'll see about that.
oh, but it sounds like the car owner's saying no there to you, Tool.
I know. Don't worry. We go round and round about that. He should go on vacation.
Hey, Tool, when you raced, your number was, you ran number 28, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'm one of them guys that people hated because in the Enduros at Lernerville, I was 65. Then when I built a pure stock, I changed it to just 5M. And then I went with the 28. And then I was 66. And then Joe had that car a little bit to 166 that that was back in the starting park days when he was trying to sell that one car. But yeah, 28 I guess was besides the 66, I guess 28 I had the most success besides 66.
Where did that number come?
And how that came about, is Dave Kitty offered his garage up to me in Latrobe because I had been keeping my car up at a farm in a barn, believe it or not, just like Days of Thunder. It was in a barn on a farm for years, and Dave offered it up. And at that time, Butch Plummer, if you remember him, raced, and he was number 82. And he ended up, when I took the car to Kitty's, he ended up being a big helper of helping me get the car. We putting a 9-inch Ford in it and building different things on the car. So since it was down in the garage, I just reversed the number and made it 28 since it was out of, Dave Kitty's place.
And
Butch had used 80.
You were doing pretty good. You picked up some wins along the way. And then all of a sudden, your driving career just came to a halt. And a lot of people try to put one and one together, but, want to be truthful. At that point, you decided you wanted to be more of a dad than a racer, and you stepped out of the seat. And
I did. You're right. I mean, Anthony was born, and I said, "Holy moly! I'm a dad," and I sold everything I had, and I said someday maybe I'll be able to race again, or maybe me and then along came Luke, maybe something would happen, and look, dreams do come true. Look what's going on.
Funny note there, Howie. Who'd you sell that car to when I was born?
The car, Joe bought it.
Joe Kelly.
Yeah, Joe actually came because we were friends, and he ended up buying that car, and he redid it. And I think he made it like triple the money off of me or something. Maybe he'll fess up and tell us after this. But yeah, you have pictures of it Joe gave you after Joe took it home. And because that's when the pure stocks, they were allowed a little bit more things. And he put a fancier body on it and redid the whole thing. The one frame rail was bent. And yeah, Joe actually did buy that.
So he bought your car and basically bought his way into your family.
You know what? he didn't buy his way. We've been friends for so long, and I mean, he was the best man, and Marcy was the maid of honor when me and Christina got married, and we are truly like family. I mean, if I go to Mount Pleasant, Marcy, their families are our families, and they've been around the boys since they were wee little. Joe's been teaching them bad things since then. But yeah, it truly is like family. I mean, I can call Joe anytime I want, and he has more up on me because Joe busted his ass here this winter.
That's another reason, Howie, I went with 66 also. We do consider Joe family. So, in racing, a lot of families have, their number they run on a car. Well, we're happy and proud to have Joe as what we consider our family. So that's why I went with back to the blue and white 66.
Anthony, it's funny. When you're in Victory Lane, I look over and I see two guys with big smiles, and it's hard to tell who's smiling bigger, your dad or Joe. I mean, the amount of pride that those two have in what you have done. And that's just one thing, too, getting to your racing career. It wasn't just handed to you. They made you work on the cars for years, and then you showed the initiative, and you actually got a 4-cylinder, and just basically realized that your dad and Joe are rear-wheel guys, race cars. So after that, you acquired the car that you drove with Ricky Dean and them, and that's when the magic came. I mean, you struggled so much with that 4-cylinder, and I remember watching you starting to race, and I remember when you got into the pure stock, it just seemed like everything was clicking. But you still had to go out there and drive that car.
Yeah, I always say from the time I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to be a race car driver. I've always dreamed of that, and I knew one day I was going to make it happen. But, I'll be completely honest with you. We're lucky right now with the sponsorship and help we have, or we don't have the funding to race, to be honest with you, Howie. And we were lucky enough that, when I was out of college, that we were able to get those 4-cylinders that we ran together. And, it's just been such a dream to even get to race and to be where I'm at now. If you would ask me 5 years ago if I'd even won a race, I'd have told you were crazy. But, being brought up with Joe and my dad, that's where I've learned everything and, how to be a true winner and champion. And, that's where I've learned the work ethic and, just how to work on the cars from these guys here. So I've been very lucky to have the role models that I've had in racing, along with some other people, John Gilmore, and a lot of other people. I'm very thankful.
You talk about the 4-cylinders, then people, just been being surrounded by good people. But Ricky Dean getting that 4-cylinder ready, that was Charlie Trice's. You give him a shout out.
Yeah.
And he let you go down there and race it. And we don't want to call anybody. I don't want to start pointing fingers, but some guy that raced down there all the time decided he didn't want a kid beating him and turned you around, and it caught fire and it burned to the ground. And Charlie's 4-cylinder.
Yeah, like I said, we used Charlie. Joe drove for Charlie Trice for quite a few years, and up until last year, Charlie, I mean, he's a great guy. We even used his trailer up until last year. He would give the shirt off his back to me and my dad, and that's really something I've learned from Joe and my dad is, rivals are one thing, but you got to help. You try to do everything you can to help somebody else out in racing because you know how many people have helped you get to where you're at, and you just try to pass it on.
And you know what, Anthony? It just shows you've been racing about 5-6 years, and for at least 50% of that time, you've won a divisional championship. And it just shows. I mean, you came up and you just excelled at everything you've done. You excelled at the baseball. Then after your baseball career, you didn't let the baseball and the racing go side by side. Once you were done with the baseball, then you turned into the cars. And were you able to take anything over from one to the other?
Uh, I, I don't know if I can compare anything. I think I would just say that competitive edge. I think that's the only thing. If you're a competitive person, whether it's baseball or racing, I try to work as hard as I can to do the best I can, and you're only satisfied when you win. That's the attitude I've had since I was in Little League. Whenever a guy right here sitting beside me, you might strike out as a 10-year-old versus a 12-year-old, and it didn't matter how old or how big that kid was, and no different on the racetrack. It don't matter if you might be outmotored or out experienced. You go out there and you get it done.
What was it like this past winter when you guys? I mean, everybody thinks, okay, you won all those races in the 100, but they don't realize that whole winter that car went down to the frame, got rebuilt, and you had to have confidence knowing, okay, we're taking off good stuff, and we're not really doing anything that drastic. We're not per se reinventing the wheel. We're going to try to make it better. Then at the end of last year, you got the bright idea, we're going to build a new car. And then all that confidence you had in the car is gone because the car's gone. What was it like getting into that car the first time on opening night?
To be honest, it was just a big relief. I mean, like I said, after we got rid of the old car and we went up to Bradford and got this car, and we had some plans to change a few things, but Joe's really the one that got down here in the garage and started, bounce around ideas to make this thing safer and better. But I can honestly tell you, from New Year's Day up until opening night, I mean, we really busted our butts out here to get this thing ready. But, having my dad and Joe, I really wasn't nervous about the car. I knew we'd get it to where we wanted to be and be competitive. It was just, man, it was a lot of work to go from a bare frame basically and build the whole thing. But
cut it in half.
Would you do it again? Would you
Yeah,
want to go that route and build another car? Or?
I would, because I look back now that we're into racing, it's fast. I laugh because we go from building the car to racing the car, and then for us we go straight into hunting season, and then the last day of hunting season, the next Saturday we're back in the garage. So we never quit. It's just a year-round thing. But I would never. The memories I have from building this car with my dad here and Joe, I couldn't trade them for the world. It was amazing. Thinking back to just even wanting a chance to race, and here we are. My family here building my own car here in the garage. So that really meant a lot.
Well, if I can say, it means a lot to me, because in this day and age, most people are in this. I mean, it's great, but there's a lot more chassis builders, whether you SS, Roosted, and the different people that are building these cars. And I take a little pride in it because two old guys like me and Joe, and there's pictures. This thing was down to the bare frame, and we just used what we've learned over the years and put it together. And I'm not being smart or cocky in any way, but we're still fine tuning things. I hope nobody thinks that's all we had, the 2 wins in Latrobe, because we're still finding stuff where we can tweak.
Put it this way, the driver still complains a little bit.
Yeah, he's still complaining, so it ain't right yet.
Now, you mentioned before you have a younger brother, Luke. I know he's there and he helps out in the pits, but does he have that drive to want to be a driver in him, or?
You can tell.
I think it's there. I think it's somewhat of the coin issue, but and a place to keep the car. I mean, I really don't have much room for even a second car here myself, but I think one day, I think you might see him out there one day.
I do too.
It's in his blood.
That's what I was. Well, I'll tell a story, and they were, hey, you're on riding with Howie, so I can tell the story. You've succeeded, but anyhow, what were you? 11 and 12 or something? We were on our way to Fall Fest at Challenger, and I don't remember what year it is, but they were 11 or 12. And actually, Luke's friends from school at that time, their last name was Coons. They owned the Blairsville they ran the Blairsville go-kart track. And they had two of them cage carts, and they were forever saying, "Bring the boys up." After the races, we opened there's track practice and that. Well, I'll just put it to you this way, Howie. Two young boys went out there in these cage carts, and one of them had actually Mark Flick was there that night. One of them looked like he'd been driving a car forever, the way he went around there. The other, when he was in the catch fence, he was out spinning around in circles. I won't say who the one was that we had to drag out of the catch fence.
Yeah, he took me to school that night, Howard.
And then when I look back at that, and then when it turns around and Anthony started racing and watching how smooth he is, you'd have never believed it. But yeah, I think if Luke ever gets a chance, he might surprise people.
Now, Anthony, you've done this all with your dad and your uncle. I call him your Uncle Joe Kelly. Would you like to move up and eventually race against Joe?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if there's two people, you could ask the question, if you could race against one person, who would it be? Well, one, I'd love to get the chance to run against him just one time. And we joke around, oh, I'd smoke you or anything. But, even if we didn't even race, side by side, just to be on the same track with my dad, whatever class it was in, and obviously Joe, because I've never gotten to race against Joe. But as far as moving up, like I said, we really don't have the funding. We're lucky enough to have the sponsors that we do to race in this class. And I know there's a lot of people that, might look down on that and run their mouths about it, but we're just blessed to be able to race the way we do. And yeah, I'd love to drive another car, Howie, or move up. But honestly, right now, this is what we can afford, and we'll see where it goes. But for now, there's no complaining from us.
What if we were able to set up a thing where I got you into a pro stock, you got to go out against Joe? Would you do it?
Oh, yeah.
I think you know a driver named Brett Huteri. You think we talked to Brett, he'd let you take out his car?
I don't think so.
No way.
You think Brett would let Joe take out his car?
Like I said, well, no, I don't think Brett would allow me to take his car out. And I can tell you this, nothing against Brett. I love him to death, but I would have to be in a casket for him to climb in my race car, probably too.
Let me drive.
Hey, I still remember.
It's just a competitive edge there.
I still remember a story. You, Brett and Luke. I don't know if you were in trouble, but you weren't going to the races one night, and you three snuck out of Mom's house and rode your bikes up to Lake Trove, and then you realized you didn't have money to get in, so you had to ride back home.
Well, no, actually the story is kids 12 and under were free, Howie. But we got to the gate, and whoever was working at the gate that time wouldn't let minors in without an adult. So that's why we had to turn around and go back home. But
okay,
I'll be political. I don't know how to say it, but let's just say we had sore bottoms when we got back to Mom. and thank God Dad didn't know where we were at that time.
I was probably in the pits.
Yeah.
I guess I'm lucky you three didn't think to get me Paige to bring you in. So I guess I'm lucky on that.
What about HB? Maybe you're ready to own a car on the dirt instead of just the black car.
Yeah, they're black though.
I said a dirt car.
I could never compete against you, Tool.
Yeah, geez, thanks.
Hey, Anthony, I want to thank you. This upcoming week, we do have Father's Day celebration, and I thought it'd be cool just to talk about the relationship between you and your dad. It's when your dad was racing, that was before you were around. So And then when your dad drove for Frank Novak, oh God, you were probably what, about 3 or 4?
Probably maybe 8 to 9, but really
7.
before I could really remember what was going on.
So you never, it's not like you got to experience all that shop time with your dad in the shop working on your car. You did get to, because your dad was working with Joe, and you and Brett and Luke were all over there and trying to learn about cars. So you did get some shop time with your 2 dads, we'll call them. But, you know, it has to be kind of cool when it comes full circle, and now the old guys are helping you.
Oh yeah, it means the world to me. Like I said, I between him, Joe, John Gilmore, a few others, that I wouldn't ask for anybody else to have in my corner, and I know no matter what, they have my back. And when I'm their age, I'll definitely look back and be thankful for what we've been able to do.
And you know the best.
You know how you're.
Go ahead, Toll.
Oh, no, that's okay. You finish.
You know the best part? Those 2 are going to have a big sponsor for you in the next couple of years. Social Security.
I knew he was going to say that. Well, you know, I wanted to tell. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything, but you might get to see Anthony in a pro stock sooner than you think.
I know there's been a car owner campaigning trying to get him in the car.
Well, it could happen. It could happen a lot sooner. I'll let him decide whenever he wants to say it, but we'll see when it is.
Well, again, I want to thank you guys for going for a ride. Hey, Anthony, you talked about your dad and Joe and Mr. Gilmore. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of that 3-time championship crew and everybody who got you to this point in your racing career.
Yeah, big thanks to my dad and Joe, first and foremost. And like I said, going back to the earlier days with Charlie, Trice, and Ricky. Special thanks to my stepmom, Christina. She spends a lot of time down here and is very invested in my racing program. Brothers Luke and Brett, some other crew, Chad, Brendan, Danielle's sister comes to the races. Who am I forgetting on the crew?
Luke.
I mean, Brett and anybody helps out.
Yeah, Brett,
Howie.
Special thanks to my fiance, Danielle, for putting up with all the long hours. And she's there supporting me anytime she's not at work. Sponsors, John Gilmore, A1 Machine, Joe Zioli at A1 Machine, and Chad. They're there usually every week. GVD Powder Coating. Supercar Restoration and Workshop. Brian Henderson, the owner of Supercar Workshop, he's usually there most, 90% of the races. He's a big supporter of mine. Vinyl Destination, 66 Auto Supply, RepairX, Trico Welding, Maniac Race Chassis and Supply,
K2 Engineering.
American Racer.
K2 Engineering.
K2 Engineering, New Foundation Contractors, Inc. Who else am I forgetting? MS Shock Therapy. I think I got all of them.
Everybody.
But yeah, like I said, we're very lucky. We have an amazing group, an amazing team that have honestly helped get us to where we were at. So,
you know what? You give a lot of credit to everybody else, but make sure you take some of that credit for yourself, because it does take a great team to put out a car, but it takes a great driver to put that car around the track.
Thanks, Howie. I really appreciate that.
And I appreciate your time. And don't forget this upcoming Father's Day weekend. There's going to be Father's Day races, and you might get to see Tool back behind the wheel of a race car for the Father's Day Spectacular.
We'll see. Well, we'll see if we can get any comments. Who thinks I should let this guy drive the car? But I guess first, when we talked about this in years, he did drive it one year. What was that, 2 or 3 years back? But
Sean Smith spanked me.
Yeah. But we'll see if we get any comments if anybody wants to see Toll take the car out.
He got to get through the night first for me to get a chance.
True, but hey, Paul Koffler's mom is undefeated in the Estrogen 100, and Tool, here's your chance to go get the trophy in the Viagra 100.
Yeah, thanks, Howie.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys, and good luck. And
I'll make sure that lasagna has sausage in it.
You've owed me a championship dinner for 3 years now.
I know.
When are we gonna have the real white meat steak?
Yeah, that's what. One of these days, we're getting a steak.
All right. Well, like I said, hey guys, thanks again for your time, and good luck.
Thank you, Howie.
Thanks, Howie.
And hey, thanks to Dennis and Kathy too. I want to tell them that because you're talking about memories and everything. If they didn't open Latrobe back up, all these memories that I've got to make with my son wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't think people realize what all Kathy and Dennis put up so we actually have a place to go play. So we owe them that. We all owe them a big thank you. So, all right, we'll see you this week. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See you at the track.
All right. Well, race fans, that's going to conclude another Ride Along with Howie, sponsored by S&B Promotion, Latrobe Speedway, Joe's Body Shop and Towing, Specialty Metals, K2 Engineering, Rock Auto, Seal Tight, Stone and Company, Vinyl Destination, and DJS Swag. Remember, please support those who support racing, and we'll see you at the races. Thanks, race fans.